So, hello everyone. I think now most of you who will participate in this webinar are inside. Yes, so if you have a radio in the background, you can either put off your sound or put off the radio. Well, welcome. This is the second day of a webinar. Most of you, I guess, were also joining us yesterday, so you know a little bit about the concept. We are, as the first thing today, we will, as yesterday, we will go in rooms 2 and 2 to tell something about yourself and today. But before we do that, if you haven't done it already, you shall choose your language and also write your name. Like those who did it yesterday know how to do it. You have to, you see the globe down on the list, down to the right, interpretation. There you can choose English if you prefer English as language. Is that right, Marta? And then also write your name.
Maybe I say it in Spanish.
Yes, you can do, yeah.
Buenos días. Solo decir la cuestión de la interpretación, que hay un símbolo que pone interpretación en la barra de abajo, que podéis escoger el idioma que vais, no, el que vais a hablar, no, el que queréis oír, ¿verdad? Y luego hay subtítulos que podréis escoger el idioma que vais a hablar, que es en el CC. Bueno, si tenéis algún problema o duda, podéis abrir simplemente el micrófono y preguntar.
Sí,
Para español podéis elegir la interpretación a español. Otros idiomas tendrán que hacerlo de CC, que lo hemos explicado al principio. If anybody needs automatic translated subtitles, you can choose the language in the CC icon. Okay?
Ok, vou dizer então em português. Se alguém vai, esta sessão vai ser em inglês, mas temos interpretação com intérpretes, e para ativar isso tem que ir a uma barra embaixo do Zoom, onde diz interpretação, e escolher a língua, ou seja, no vosso caso, português. E então vão estar conectados sempre ao canal em português. And just another organizational thing, we would do some discussion groups at the end. So if you can add your name, the English, the languages you can speak or understand. So as I did it myself with my name, so English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And for that, you go on your image on the top right, and then you click on there's something like a rename, and you change your name. Yes, for me it's renomear in Portuguese, and you change you add your languages.
Okay.
Yes.
Then maybe we would like to start this webinar to get to know each other a little bit better. Just one of you. So in the beginning now, we go into rooms 2 and 2, which is prepared for you. So you will soon leave the main room, and 2 and 2 just for some minutes. And you tell something about yourself and today, how you feel today. And then we come back again. Are the rooms prepared so we can go? It's something about knowing a little bit.
Yes, I will prepare the rooms. Oriana will explain the exercise.
Okay.
Yes, we were thinking that to share something about ourselves, we could share if we have a common land that we are especially attached to. And if not, maybe a common natural place, a natural place that we like and that is shared with other people in our town, in our village, or in another place, but that it's a common, a natural place. So we could share a little bit on this while we are in these rooms. So now we will put you in random separate rooms. So if by any chance you are with someone that doesn't speak a common language, we suggest you try different ways of communicating. It's possible, let's say. You can draw or make gestures or use some translation. Be creative. I think.
Hello, I'm Marta.
Hello, Catarina.
Yeah, you're from Spain?
Sorry?
Are you from Spain?
No, I'm from Italy.
Italy,
But
okay. Yeah.
yes, I'm Italian, but I'm living in Portugal for more or less 20 years.
Okay, so you speak Portuguese as well.
Yes.
So are you working at the university there?
I'm doing a PhD
Okay.
in the University of Lisbon
Okay.
in sustainability science.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes, and I'm doing my thesis project, about intersectional gender dynamics in
Okay.
sustainable entrepreneurship.
Okay, we are finished now already.
Oh,
Yeah, it says admit to main station. Or was it just Anna Luisa de Luz entered the waiting room? Okay. Oh yeah, okay. It was something for me. It was not for you, maybe to let someone
okay.
in the main station. Yes. Sorry. That was because that was very quick. Yeah. So that's interesting. So you are also
Yes.
part of this Wonder Common Land project. Or are you just visiting this webinar?
So I can't hear you. I couldn't hear the last part you
Okay.
said.
Have you been joining this Wonder Common Land project from the start, or are you just visiting this webinar?
Just yesterday.
Yesterday, okay, I see.
Yes.
I see. Yeah, because I represent the Norwegian Summer Farm Union.
Okay.
And we are all practitioners. We are not connected to a university or anything. So we are mostly farmers. But what we should do now, it was to talk about our favorite place. It wasn't it?
Yes.
Our favorite place to stay. That was Oriana was telling us, asking us. So, what is your favorite place?
One of my favorite places is called Porto de Dinheiro. It's a really small town near Torres Vedras. You know Torres Vedras, where Torres Vedras is, more or less? Okay.
Is it the sea? Ocean?
It's near the ocean, yes.
Yeah.
Porto de Dinheiro is 3 minutes by feet from the ocean.
Okay.
And from Lisbon, it's 1 hour by car from Lisbon. And it's a wonderful place with a lot of nature, fishermen. It's really, it's a rare thing, a rare place to find nowadays. Because here in Lisbon, yes, it's nice. I like to live in Lisbon, but a lot of traffic, a lot of noises. And when I go to Porto de Dinheiro, I really feel free to connect with nature and always learn new things about nature, about the way fishermen and farmers work their daily life. For me and for my project and my interests, it's really a good experience and a good opportunity every time I go to Porto de Janeiro. So it's one of my favorite places, yes.
It's like is it the village? It's a village, or is it it's a combination of village and nature?
It's a small village.
Yeah.
Small village, yes.
Yeah. Okay, it sounds very beautiful.
It is a paradise.
Yeah,
Yes.
is it the house they are they are white, made of stone, or what color are the houses? Are they stone houses? How does the houses look?
Some are like this. Some are made with wood,
Okay.
and some are more traditional. Like
Okay.
some are like you see here in Lisbon, are similar. Yes,
Okay.
it's a mix.
Yeah, but what are the traditional houses in Lisbon? How do they look? I don't know too much. Oh, we have to leave. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Leave the
It
break.
was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice, Katarina.
Okay. I would
Thank
like to
you.
hear more another time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. I'm muted. Sorry. So we are back. Did you get to know each other? Did you learn something from each other?
I think not all people are back.
Okay.
No? Yes, there's still 1 minute. I mean, less than 1 minute, and they will be back.
Yeah. I got really inspired visiting Portugal.
This is being recorded.
Yeah, I heard about this beautiful place with fish boats and stone houses and ocean, beautiful landscapes. So I got really inspired. I should go. I think we should go to Portugal someday. All of us.
Very good. Now we are all here, Katarina.
Yeah, that's nice. So we're back again. We have a little more time today than we thought, because we were supposed to end the session yesterday with some questions and present them this morning. But now, because we didn't have time yesterday, we don't have these questions ready from you yet. So, but the thing was, we can have open up for some questions now, maybe about yesterday. How can we support women and ecosystem conservation, and how we can use the learning tools of today in our territories, communities? Is that sort of right, Marta, that we can have a little talk about that before we start the first presentation, which shall be in 10 minutes? Because that's now in my program that we shall have 3 insights from yesterday, and then also how we can support women and ecosystem conservation, for example.
Well, I feel that maybe there's some people that weren't there yesterday, so
yeah.
Maybe well, I would go for starting for the presentations, and then at the end we have.
Yeah. Okay, because we usually have too little time anyway, so
we are sure that we have time for the discussion.
Yeah. So everyone is now here to do the presentation. So at least at the first session, this day is separated in 2 parts. We have first 2 presentations. The first one out is Luisa Barateiro first, and then is Inger Marie Vingdal, and she's from Norway. And then we have a break, and after the break we have also 2. We have then Alexandra Meyer and some co-speakers with her, and Chris Blake at the last part. So we are now ready to start the first session, and that is with Luisa Barateiro. She studied biology and has master degree in epidemiology at public health. She is currently a PhD candidate in climate change and policies for sustainable development using an ecofeminism lens in her research. She is also ambassador for the European Climate Pact and member of the board of the Alternative and Response Women Union. So this, we look very forward to hear from you, and you have 20 minutes from now. So we will.
Luisa, I will just tell you when you have 5 minutes left, if you don't mind, so we are sure that we are on time, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
so
good. Thank you.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank to the organization, to the invitation to our NGO be represented here today and share some insights regarding ecofeminism, briefly presenting the NGO, Union of Women Alternative and Response. We have more than 50 years working mainly in Portugal and Spain, Iberia Peninsula. And we work especially with the issues regarding gender from different perspectives, from the LGBT rights, women rights, domestic violence and sexual violence, of course. And we have also a unit working on this field regarding ecology and gender, and I'm part of that group. So for today, I will share a little bit about we can learn from feminist perspectives and environment, and how to use and manage our ecosystems in a more sustainable but also in a more fair way to all people, including, of course, to women. Briefly resume a little bit what is ecofeminism. Sometimes this concept is not so clear for everyone, and it's sometimes a new word for many people. And just to share a little bit how this started and that how this is so important today in this context of challenges, big challenges, complex crises and climate issues. And ecofeminism started in the 70s started as a pacifistic and political movement, and of course philosophical movement, and exploring this connection between gender and environment, between oppression and the impact that this extractivist, dominant way of living and way of do politics and way of don't cooperate with each other, between groups, between countries, are impact the living of people, and with a bad impact, especially for women. So ecofeminism challenges these structures of patriarchy, colonialism, extractivism, and try to share an alternative way of future, an alternative way of living, of cooperate with each other. Sometimes people think that this could be an utopia, but it's not, it's possible. And if we actually want to change the way of we live, we really can do it. What we can learn, especially nowadays, from ecofeminism. Here I share two pictures. The first one is in Latin America, and I think that we all know the huge impact in different parts and different geographies of the world, but especially in Latin America, with lithium extractivism, with lithium mining, and this is a really important topic, especially now in Portugal today, because we are facing a huge challenges in the north of Portugal with a mining construction in the Covas do Barroso. I think that some of you at least already heard something about it. And this is one of the bigger challenges today is the uncontrolled extract of resources in a not fair way, not considering women, but also human rights in this process. And in the second picture, we see other crises that we are living now. This is wars, different wars, but this is the war in Ukraine. Sometimes we see armed conflicts, and we see, of course, the tremendous social impact and economical impact that this type of conflicts have in life of people. But sorry, but the environmental impact is also really significant, and sometimes is not well considered. So what we can learn from ecofeminism, and how can we criticize this and share alternatives, solutions for our society. I think that ecofeminism unmasks this violence and violent narratives and violent ways of living and ways of fight for money, fight for power. And we really need to recenter our society, recenter our values, and create a more care and sharing communities. Of course, to build a more fair and more positive society and communities for everyone, but also to build more resilient societies. As we are facing different challenges, we need to create more resilient communities in order to answer to that in the most equal way. So ecofeminism defends and shares this idea of create centers and communities based on values regarding care, regarding cooperation, regarding interdependence and respect, mutual respect. And of course, if we want to live in a more sustainable way, it's not only regarding the impact that we have in climate, in environment, but also the impact we have between each others. So trying to promote this transformative and non-hierarchical governance rooted in justice and cooperation. And even if in our actual political system, we can, with this system, improve and do better things and do a more participative policy, which is really important to have more representative voices and especially include women in all of these steps. So if in the last century, when ecofeminism started to have a voice in society and started to grow in the general feminist movement, climate change was not so visible or so hot topic like today. And nowadays, ecofeminism is really connected with climate activism, and this idea and fight for have, of course, we need to change, we need to do a transition in our societies. This is not sustainable anymore, and is not working. It's not possible to continue to live like that, but we need to do this transition in a fair way. So we need to try to have a systematic transformation that is based in regenerate also ecosystems, regenerate communities, involve different generations. And when you do a project, when we change a policy or a law or what else, we need to consider what impact we will have in the life of people, of community, of population, what impact we'll have in our community and other communities and in future generations too. So this continuum of impact needs to be part of our decision, of our action. So call for this systemic transformation, but always grounded and based on justice and cooperation. From ecofeminism and from ecofeminists, we can learn a lot. We can learn about resistance and the resistance to mining in different geographies is a really inspiring movement. And this practice of resistance, of course, and took care of each other and took care of nature. And women are like seed keepers and try to preserve biodiversity, and these movements that are trying to take from the past the previous knowledge, that the indigenous knowledge that we, with these monocultures and intense contemporary agricultural techniques, sometimes we forgot this old knowledge from the past and from our grandmothers, and we need to take this knowledge again to our work and to our productions. And I think that with ecofeminists we can learn a lot regarding this topic. And of course, the care and the cooperation and create more cooperative communities, we can improve our local economies, improve the way of living of different women. Sometimes this type of jobs and productions are really precarious, and people do these productions without so good conditions of living. And if we can help and support these local economies, we are having a better impact on our community in a social and economical way, but also in environment, like local production and local consumption. So this is really important when you talk about agroecology. So, and as we know, we cannot change everything if we not change policy and if we not change the ways of decisions are taken. So elevate these feminist perspectives, these ecofeminist perspectives to the mainstream voices, to the mainstream representatives. It's really important. So we need to have women represented in these places of decision making process, and this is really important. And of course, we need to have more feminist voices. We need to recognize this ecological, traditional, and ancestral knowledge, and we need to include this knowledge in the decision making process at the different levels. So build this a transition, an intersectional transition, but always community rooted. So I don't know how much time I already used, but I would like to finish this first part. Of course, I'm open to questions if you have, but I would like to finish this part with these kind of provocative questions, but that I think that are useful to think about what is missing in some context regarding women's rights and regarding an ecofeminist lens. And that is, who controls land, who controls the resources. Too many times the answer is men, oppressive systems, oppressive entities, and whose voices shape ecological futures, which values rooted and are based our environmental actions. Of course, when we do activism, we need to think what is the real impact of our action. Of course, do something is better than to do nothing, but we need to be more strategic when we are trying to share with these entities, with the power entities, we need to do it in a more strategic way and see how can we actually have a positive impact. And last question is, how are women transforming ecological and climate governance? I think that we are better than the last years ago, but we have so much here, to do, and to have more voices, and to have more voices not only listing in the place, but also with a voice, with the right to vote, the right to participate, to have and actually a voice, and not only to be like purple or greenwashing of some entities. So I would like to share with you, just to conclude, that ecofeminism teaches us that caring, that cooperate with each other and caring for the earth is inseparable from caring for each other. So always when we act in this field, we need to put everything together, and everything will regenerate together. So justice, sustainability, and liberation must grow together. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luisa. That was very inspiring and very interesting, and very important things you are focused on. So I guess there is a lot of questions, but will you stay till after the next speaker, because we take the questions after?
Unfortunately not. I really need to leave after.
You have, okay, so you're leaving? Okay,
Yeah.
so then I think we can have the questions now, because I guess there are some questions about what you were saying, and also comments, because this was really inspiring. So we open up for questions now before you go. Yeah, Yara is the first hand I saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for the presentation. I confess that it was interesting, inspiring for me, but of course I have some questions. And if you go to the slide which is previous to the last one, or to the previous one, you have a picture there that says climate justice, and no, it's somewhere in the pictures. Yeah, women for climate justice. Can you elaborate a little bit more? What do you understand both by climate justice, and of course the what can the women do for that? You know, it was also in your last slide, these questions.
Yeah, of course. Can you see the slide? I don't know.
Not yet.
Okay.
Now we see something. Thank you.
Okay.
There.
So, first, climate justice is the importance of, we are doing a climate transition in terms of policy, in terms of, I will talk now regarding European context. We have the European Green Deal, so we are changing systems, changing our energy ways of supply, and this transformation of our societies for a decarbonizated societies. We are doing this change, sometimes not considering human rights, women rights, the vulnerable communities, and climate change justice is this topic. We cannot change if we not consider women rights, vulnerable communities, and if you not do this change in equal and in a fair way. And climate justice is part of this movement that says, okay, we cannot continue living like this, but we cannot just change and forgot the whole jobs and the people that will lose their jobs. Don't forget the communities that will suffer with this transformation. So it's a climate justice is the justice in this process of climate transition. And of course, women are part of a vulnerable group and vulnerable communities. And if we are trying to have more human rights-based policy, women topic is always important. And here we can see that women will suffer more than the general society with climate change and with environmental challenges. And for that, if we will suffer more, we need to have a voice in this process, and we need to be part of decisions that are being taken. And climate justice is this is involve the vulnerable communities that will be more affected, for example, for climatic disasters, catastrophes, extreme events that will become more and more common in our lives. So climate justice is basically this. And if we know that women will suffer more, if women will be the majority of climate refugees, these women needs to be part of the decision and needs to be visible and needs to have a voice. And of course, us as women, and for who is also feminist or feminist activist, we can use our voice in the feminist movement to visibilize also the climate issues and the importance of climate action, and to be in the front line of the fighting for better actions in this topic. And I hope that I answered to your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have a question. Because you mentioned that how important it is to that women are in a position to take decisions, political decisions, and that women are represented in political positions, to take decisions. And how can we do that better than today? How can we get women in positions to get power to take decisions, political decisions? Because that's a lack many places today, and maybe that's the big problem. And also, there is another thing we often see, at least here in Norway, that many women, when you get strong women in position, it's not always the minds of the feminine part of the woman. It's more like you get into a masculine system. I am not a scientist. I'm just speaking as a common person. So my words are not correct, I'm sure. But I think you maybe know what I mean. The minds changed very often for women who get in positions who is dominated by men. So these thoughts of caring, you were using this word, to care. How can we get women in positions, and how can we keep the mind of caring of everybody who are decision makers? Can you answer that? It's a big question. I know.
Yeah, exactly. It's a difficult question. I will try my best.
Just remember to speak a bit slower than usually we do for the translators, please.
Okay. So these are like two questions. The first of one is, how can we have women in this process? So we have already some mechanisms to have women represented in political institutions, but we need to improve this process in order to be more women, in order to have parity. And then when we have these women in these places, they need to be actually a voice. So don't be only listen and saying yes, or without the right to vote or the right to have an impact voice in the process. So we need to first try to have women in these spaces, and then try to that participation will not be like purple washing and women washing and saying, no, this is really inclusive because we have women here, so that's okay. So this is the second step. Women that are in these places actually have a voice, and then women that are in places and have a voice have an ideology, perspective that is aligned with feminist values, and actually defend this logic of regeneration of society, of ecosystems, and of course based on care and based on these ecofeminist values. So I think that are three difficult steps. We are better than we was in the past, I think. But for example, in the climatic forums of decision and international climatic forums like COP and spaces like that, it's not so good yet, and we really need to improve these spaces. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You did a good job, and this was very, very inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess you have to leave. Okay, but if you follow,
Yes.
it's nice. So we are 3 minutes before 10:45 for the next speaker, but she's here and there is no reason to wait. So I would like to present the next speaker, Inger Marie Vingdal. She is a retired docent and has taught and supervised students, teachers in the subject of physical education. She is particularly interested in body and learning, outdoor activities, and getting more active forms of learning in schools, and she has written several textbooks for students. Inger Marie comes from a farm and grew up with summer farming. In recent years, she has been working on a book about dairymaids as a Budeiene. The book tells about their important work and will give the dairymaids some of the attention they deserve. They are agriculture history, culture history, and women's history. And the background why Inger Marie is also invited for this is also because this dairymaid activity is a female activity, and it is also a way of taking care of nature in Norway. So the women had an important role. So welcome, Inger Marie, to tell us some of your experience, especially from writing this book. You have been around all Norway and collected information. So welcome. You are muted. There.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I first try to share.
Yeah. It's a good start. There.
It's okay?
Here, yes. Now we see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to have the opportunity to speak about Budeiene, the daughters of nature. And I have prepared, so I have to read. I have interviewed many budeier or dairymaids and read lots about summer farming. And in Norway, there's many books about summer farming, but little about the daily life of budeiene or the dairymaids. So Budeiene deserved their own book. A dairymaid is responsible for the livestock, the animals, at the summer farm. The dairymaids were independent and hard-working women. They ran small businesses at the summer farm, often up in the mountains. They took care of animals and the people and lived according to nature's terms. All over Norway, it's women who have had the responsible for the animals, work in the barn, milking, making cheese, and churning butter. In our country, there were mostly small farms that men and women worked together. The mothers and the women were home. Many men also had work away from the farm, as in the forest, hunting, and fishing. We have a long story of strong, independent women, like the dairymaids, women who ran the farm while the men were away, Viking women. We also have a long tradition of a division of labor for men and women. But women in farming has a large area of responsibility and a great many jobs to do. They also work out in the fields and have always done men's work without seeming like something unusual. They did it because it was necessary. For men, it was worse to do what was considered women's work. Then he could be seen as unmanly. Work in the barn, and especially milking, were left to the women. Most of the men didn't go into the barn except to take care of the horses. Neither were they to be up at the summer farm on weekdays, unless they worked with the grass or had other necessary work there.
Inger, I have a request of the translator to speak a bit slower.
Okay.
You can, thank you.
Yes, I try. Summer farms were a wise way to use the land. Moving the animals from the valley up to the mountains make better use of the landscape and the growing seasons. One use their resources in the larger wilderness, and the dairymaids used the knowledge, the routines, and the way of living that had been practiced for hundreds of years. Summer farms were often placed ideally in nature. There was good grazing for the animals, water, facing the sun with a view out over the surroundings, places to hunt and fish. The house was simple. During the weekdays, the women and children were at the summer farm. The men were home in the community and would come up at the weekend, perhaps with other families. The dairymaids lived up at the summer farm until late in autumn and produced foods. Summer farms and life on summer farm is and has been a life lived in nature and with nature. Dairymaids has much respect in the community, but in the social order of the larger community, the men of power pay little attention to the dairymaids' knowledge and experience. They were concerned about the efficiency and growth, and that men knew best. One tried to place several summer farms within close range of each other so that the dairymaids could help each other when necessary. There were more possible danger there: wild animals, wolves, bears, wolverines, people with bad intention, strong changes in weather, and more dangerous terrain to travel over. One had to look out and be even more careful than down on the home farm. Life on the summer farm was often strengthening physically and mentally for both the people and the animal. The animals had a wide range upon which to graze. People came out into nature and had some space to breathe and a change from the daily routines at home. The close contact with nature and the animals, pleasant moments, time spent with other dairymaids, and the mothers spending more time together with their children made up for the hard work and worry. Life out in nature has been viewed as a free life for hundreds of years. For the dairymaid, it was a life in nature, away from the community and the freedom to decide things for herself. On the picture, you see Budeiene some have milked the cows and follow them out to the pasture. The dairymaid has a close bond with the animals, the cows and the goats. She feeds them, milks them, and takes care of them. She talks to them, calls and lures them to come. She gives them salt and special feed. If the animals don't come back in the evening, she must go out to look for them, and she must know well the area around the summer farm. She has a special close bond with the bell cow, the cow that wears the bell and leads the herd out to graze in the morning and home again to be milked in the evening. Both folk and livestock lived and still live out in nature, following other traditions and methods on the summer farm that the ones they used down at the home farm. One is more closely surrounded by nature, one's senses are sharper, and it's easier to relax and find peace. To be a dairymaid also meant many other jobs to do at the summer farm. She needed a good supply of wood to fire up under the cattle for making cheese, to heat the wash water, making meals, and keep the farmhouse warm. The man cuts firewood, but many dairymaids in the past worked with the firewood and mostly juniper and willow branches and used them to burn. At the left of the picture is the pile of juniper. The summer farm were very necessary for gathering winter feed, mostly grass, but also mosses and other things. The men cut the grass, and the dairymaid raked and dried it, and in the past, they also cut the grass in the surroundings area and gather mosses and anything else that could be used to feed the animals through the winter. In the free time they did handwork, and dairymaids could walk and knit at the same time. Every day, the dairymaids worked to gather the manure from the stalls and from the area outside. Manure was very valuable used in fertilizing the fields. To wash the different wooden buckets used in milking and milk products, they use juniper wash, warm water heated with juniper branches. They often did the laundry washing in a nearby stream. When the blueberries and the cloudberries were ripe, the dairymaid gathered them. If the summer farm were near the lakes or streams rich with fish, the dairymaids would fish, mostly with nets. Few of them had time to fish with fishing poles. The dairymaid had good knowledge of plants, such as juniper. Juniper has a variety of uses. For washing wooden vessels, for washing hair and feet, to stuff in holes to keep the mice out, to decorate and freshen the air, spread small juniper tips on the floor, lay them just outside the door on the step, out in the outhouse, bouquet of juniper twigs and other plants, to make bowls and other wooden utensils for firewoods, to mix with salt and give it to the animals, for making caramel. We call it treak. It's a kind of a liquor. To make oil and spices. And if you look at the picture, you have seen the berries. They are put together of 3 pine cone shells, like a 3-armed cross. Juniper was seen as a holy tree. It had magic powers, protection from sorcery, and you could put the juniper berry in the pocket for protection. Dairymaids greatly respected that they were a part of nature. No, sorry. Dairymaids had much to do with encouraging life in the fresh outdoors. Dairymaids and summer farm provide a safe place and drew people to come up to the mountains. The dairymaids were hospitable and provide both food and a bed. One was always welcome to spend the night, even if the cabin was small. Folk were drew to the mountains because the dairymaids were there. The dairymaids had and still have knowledge and experience of the nature surrounding the summer farm. They lived in harmony with the nature, most of them feeling safe and taking pleasure in it. Their children, who is and were with the dairymaids, had a nature for the playground. That is an important way to socialize into outdoor life. Dairymaids greatly respect that they were a part of nature. They were observant and considerate on nature's sign, strength, and energy, and they took care of both the small and the large thing in nature. Even the dairymaids who were along at the summer farm has many friends: the livestock, the birds, other animals, streams, and all that grew in the landscape around them. One dairymaid says, summer farm has their own sounds, their own tastes, their own scents and signs. The senses are more open on the summer farm. One is so close and follow better one's surroundings, close to experience and sounds. The language of nature is so much stronger. It was rich with opportunities to feel nature and the mystical. The summer farms were like small cultivated islands in the natural landscape on a borderland in many ways. Most dairymaids humbly believed there was a strength in nature that they should take into consideration. Many believed that they shared the nature with the folk of the netherworlds, the trolls, the fairies, wood nymphs. The fairies have power, and they were the voice of nature. One should listen to that voice. When the dairymaid respect the fairies and nature, work hard, was clean, modest, and took good care of animals, they believed that she was well cared for by the fairies as well. The dairymaids were the middles of a kingdom filled with nature's senses, and that was perhaps why they worked so hard and were so content. Life on the summer farm has its own routines and rules. This could vary from different summer farms communities from different parts of the country. Often it was the eldest dairymaid who made most of the decision and took care of that the traditions were kept. Younger dairymaids learned from the older ones. A daughter learned from her mother, who have learned from her mother before that. But there was also room to try something new and be creative. The transfer of knowledge was about things like unwritten rules on the summer farm, the animals' grazing area, the calling home of the animals, milking, handling the milk, and making milk products, or the work of the dairymaid. Children usually were allowed to roam freely in the surrounding nature. Children took care of each other and learned from each other. Mothers seldom had time to be with them, but of course gave them good advice. When the farms became mechanized, the men took over more of the farm work and were more often in the barn. Earlier, the women were at home, but today it's more opposite. Men are often home at the farm and women are working away off the farm. Today it's just as often a man who has the responsibility for the animals on the summer farm. Before the mechanization of the farm, it was largely a business run by women in good harmony with nature, diversity, and holistic thinking. This summer farm is part of my identity, says Eirin. She grew up on a summer farm and is taking over running the farm after her parents. It's important for me to be here. It's a way like coming home. We use the resources that are here. It's really fantastic that we can produce milk from what we have out here. The summer farm is 1,100 meters above sea level. In closing, the dairymaids didn't want to master the mountains. They didn't want to conquer the nature. They shouldn't trap a prey. Their great achievements were daily, best seen, but they were not done. Dairymaids didn't much boasting. They quietly took care of nature, the animals, and people, showed concern and produced food. Mother Earth, this planet is sometimes called. The dairymaids were close to Mother Earth and took good care of her. Now there are many signs that Mother Earth is in a disarray. Nature needs our concern and our caring, and maybe we can learn something from these dairymaids, these daughters of nature. She who felt responsible for all life, for animals, for people, for birds. Animals have grazed in the wilderness for thousands of years, and dairymaids have taken care of them. With her and the animals, we have a greater biological variety that depend upon grazing and harvesting. Summer farms are sustainable and have an important role in the ecosystem. The perspective was long range. They had ecological knowledge and experience. But I have a few things that made their work easy. And much of this was a heavily physical strain. If it was hard on people, one can say it was easy on nature. Today we have many things that make the work easier, lighter. We want to have growth, always to have more. We no longer work in harmony and cooperation with nature. And there are many examples that show how hard nature now has it. We apparently have it much easier, at least in a short term. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. It was so touching. And I'm so proud of having your book. It's so precious and it's so important for the Norwegian summer farming that we have this book about the Budeiene, the dairymaid in Norway. And there is now you are also showing, sort of explaining why the Norwegian summer farm culture is written on the UNESCO list of representative cultural heritage. It's not for nothing. It's because there is a meaning about it. There is a substance. the way the knowledge the women had and still have. We are still 750 summer farmers who is active in Norway. So this tradition is not dead, it's still living. So thank you very much for your presentation. I guess we have 10 minutes for questions, and I guess there are some questions about this from the audience. I can't see any hands. There is one from Rita Salvatore. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Really super interesting contribution. So thank you very much. I'm curious because you spoke about the role of women, especially in the past, and how this role has changed also in recent years because of the mechanization and the contribution from men as well. So I imagine something has changed in the role of women and men working together in the cabin during the summer farm. But I'm also curious how young generations, because the last slide introduced a young woman working and going back to the cabin and taking over her parents' farm. So I'm curious about knowing what kind of changes are young people giving to this old tradition. Thank you. If any, I mean.
Maybe Katarina would help me to answer. I think we have the problem that in agriculture, that the government are thinking big farms, and summer farming is for small farms, and the farms out in the community, it's more easy to have small farms there. So I think the politics, like Eirin, she and her husband try to live being farmers 100%, but I can't manage, so they have to have other jobs besides. Hopefully we will see other values, not only money, and to produce more and more. That there have to be life out in the countryside, and that's a value. That we have small farms, that's a value. Katarina, will you help me?
Yeah, there is I think the change is also in the politics, as you said. It's not just big because now there are men, it will be different. I think many of the men also have this caring need. If you are in a summer farm, you have to be caring. If you are not, it will not function. The animals will not come home. The system will not be in balance. You have to have a caring attitude. So there are now about 50-50 men and women. But I think the change is from the politics and also the support, economical support. It's preferred to getting more effective and to be industrialized, and we shall have we are triggered to have milk robots, for example, because we have to be modern. We are stuck in the modernization sort of in Norway. It's this idea, but still, if you are on a summer farm, you are forced to, your mind must change. It will change when you're up there, if you want or not. You have to be a part of it. It's a sort of a deal. So I think it's not lost even if we have now milk machines. It's still a sustainable way of producing food, and still the animals are going free and have to come back free of their own will. You have to take care, even if it's more modernized. It's not destroyed and we might have the impression that it's changed and it's destroyed and it's not like it is anymore. For example, there are still people who are milking by hand, very close to the animals. So it's a brighter mangfold. Hva er mangfold på engelsk? There are more variations now than before. Okay. Was this just more confusing, maybe? Okay.
I like to add that some farms also have tourists, and they make more income to the summer farms and to the farms by and when you're serving, you make some products of the milk in the summer farm, and you can sell it there, and you also can make food to eat, to sell, serving. Yeah, I don't know the English word. And summer farms today are a source for the farm, both with when we think of the food to the animals for the winter, and more income on selling the products on the summer farm. So that's some summer farms do this to. This is a. You can do this to make the summer farms survive, I think. So. Hjelp meg, Katarina. Skjønner du hva jeg skal si?
Yeah, yes, so many summer farmers are now preceding the milk on the summer farm to get more income and be more sustainable, economical sustainable. So still, that's just 10% who are preceding the milk on the summer farm. Most of the summer farmers deliver the milk to the milk factory. So it comes a car 3 times a week to get the milk to the factory somewhere else in Norway. That's also a part of lack of knowledge, because before we had to precede all the milk on the summer farm. We don't need that anymore. We have the industry taking care of the milk for us. But still, the contact with the nature is there. It will always be there as long as we have summer farms, because you have to relate to it. It's there. And also the feeling that we are a part of it. It's not nature and us. We are a part of the nature, the way of living. So I think maybe we had used our time and shall open for more questions. Marta has raised the hand.
Yeah, just a curiosity also. What I saw that the house is quite isolated. I wonder how far you were between you and the other and the neighbor. There was some interaction, or it was more family based.
If it was possible, they tried to have more than one summer farm close to each other, so that the women could help each other. If it was more private land, the summer farm could be more isolated. Is that an answer for your question? And also, if it was many cows, the farm was more isolated, because they need more area to grass on.
So there were some farms that were collective in a way, and some farms were private.
Yeah, some of them they work together. Have cows from more than one farm, but that was not that many summer farms. Maybe Katarina, you can help me.
In this, I think at the webinar we had last time, I told something about summer farming, and then I also said that it's kind of common to have these summer farms in villages. In my area in Valdres, it's very common to have gather the summer farms like villages, more villages than down in the valley on the farm. So they are like clusters. And this area also have, it's 40, the largest summer farm cluster is 41 summer farmers altogether. It's right here in Valdres. Because as Inger Maria said, because we we need each other more on the summer farm, because there are often needed help and more hands in the different situations. So they seek to get, but also about the topography, the landscape. Is it possible to have a little village up here, or is it more natural to have it spread, connected to directly to the farm? So, but it was definitely more social and including on the summer farm than down on the farm. Down on the farm was more separate families, but summer farm was much more social. And also that's why you saw these tourists. They love to go up there because these dairymaids are often happy to meet people and meet new people and share. So it's more social and yes, more like villages, but not always. Is that sort of right, Inger Maria and Beate, who are my colleagues here, and also Juliana is also here, also dairymaid. So I think we have 4 dairymaids in here now. Okay, yeah. So yes, Anna Luisa has raised the hand.
Hello. Thank you for your presentation. Actually, you have answered my questions, Katarina. I was going to ask the dimension of these farms, like if it's a whole village, how many people more or less are there? Because here in Portugal, we have, I'm sorry, I have my kid here, which is this. Estou a falar. I'm so sorry. Yeah, we have the kind of the same system, which is brandas and inverneiras. Brandas are the summer farms, and the inverneiras are the winter farms. And for what I know, I'm not a specialist on the subject, but for what I know, the whole village would change place on the summer and change place on the winter. It was like an excursion of the whole village. I think men also had some different roles during the year, so they could come out of the summer farm sometimes to go and do their stuff, but the whole village would go. So my question was, is it a village? Are those the same people that are in the winter down in the valley? How do you say the village that it's not summer, the winter village? How do you call it? It's
yeah. I think
you don't have it.
That depends. On my summer farm, it was people from several communities, but maybe 3 neighbors at home, and then 3 neighbors from another place, but in not far away from each other. But then we have summer friends and winter friends, and the dairymaids were very close connected in summer, but maybe in winter they didn't see each other that much. So, Katarina.
That was a very good answer. But in Norway, we don't have this village structure as you have in further south in Europe. The farms are separate there and there from each other. So we don't have this village structure. And then I think Inger Maria answered the rest. It's not like everybody moving up and everybody coming down to the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When you are a child, you have more people to play with in a small area. You have free from school. You can be out in nature. So I think that's perhaps why, if you've been a child on a summer farm, nearly all of them love it.
Yes,
that's true.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it was like paradise for children. before. Okay. Are there any more questions or comments? It doesn't look like. Then in the program, it says it shall soon be a break. Yes, we are now at the point for 5 minutes a break. We are a little over time already. So can we meet each other again in 5 minutes? That means 11:27. Very exactly. Is it okay? Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you very much, Inge Maria. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You can stop the recording.